5 signs he's falling in love with you, even if he hasn't said it yet. Part 1, the quiet signals before the words arrive. There's a particular kind of uncertainty that shows up in the early to middle stretch of a relationship. You're not new anymore, but you're not official forever either. You've stopped counting days since the first date, but you haven't heard the words "I love you" yet. And in that gap, your mind starts doing what minds do, searching for evidence, replaying conversations, wondering if what you feel is being felt back. Here's something worth knowing before we go further: men often show love long before they say it. Not because they're being cagey or withholding, but because for a lot of men, saying "I love you" feels like crossing a threshold, a declaration that carries weight, risk, and finality. So instead, the feeling leaks out sideways. In small adjustments. In habits that quietly shift. In the way he starts treating you less like someone he's dating and more like someone he's building something with. If you're trying to read the room without asking him to spell it out, here are the first signs worth paying attention to. 1. He starts making plans with you in the future tense. Early on, most relationships live in the present. Dinner tonight. This weekend. The next date. But when a man starts falling in love, something shifts in the way he talks about time. He starts saying things like, "Next summer we should," or, "When we go on vacation," or, "You'd love this place, we have to go." These aren't grand promises, they're small, almost throwaway comments. But they matter, because they reveal where you exist in his mental map. You're no longer a guest star in his life. You're becoming a fixture in it. Pay attention to whether these future references are consistent or a one-off. A man who's genuinely falling for you will bring up "someday" moments more than once, in different contexts, trips, holidays, even mundane things like, "We should get a place with a balcony one day." He's not performing for you here. He's thinking out loud, and his subconscious has already started including you in his story. 2. He wants to know the real you, not just the fun version. In the early stages of dating, most people show their highlight reel. Funny stories, easy confidence, the version of themselves that's designed to impress. But when a man starts falling in love, his curiosity deepens. He starts asking about your childhood, your fears, the things that shaped you. He wants to know what hurt you and what healed you. He remembers details you mentioned once, weeks ago, and brings them up again. This shift matters because it signals he's no longer trying to win you over, he's trying to understand you. Attraction wants the highlight reel. Love wants the whole archive. If he's asking questions that go beneath the surface, and actually sitting with your answers instead of steering the conversation back to himself, that's not small talk. That's a man building intimacy on purpose. It's worth noting the difference between genuine curiosity and performative interest. A man who's falling for you will ask follow-up questions days or weeks later, "Hey, whatever happened with that thing with your sister?" Because he actually retained what you told him. That kind of retention isn't accidental. It's a sign you've become someone he thinks about even when you're not in the room. 3. He shows up in the unglamorous moments. Anyone can be charming on a Saturday night date. The real test of where someone's heart is headed is what they do when things are inconvenient, boring, or unflattering. Does he check in when you're sick, even if it means a low-key night instead of an exciting one? Does he help you move a couch, sit through your work vent session, or show up when you're anxious and not at your most fun? Falling in love softens a man's tolerance for effort. Things that would have felt like a hassle early on, driving across town, rearranging his schedule, sitting with your bad mood, start to feel less like obligations and more like things he wants to do because they involve you. This is one of the clearest, most underrated signs, because it's harder to fake than romantic gestures. Grand gestures are easy in the honeymoon phase. Showing up in the unglamorous moments requires an emotional investment that's already taken root. If you've noticed, he's become someone who's reliably there, not just for the fun stuff, but for the ordinary and even the difficult stuff. That consistency is often love in its most practical form. 4. He lets you see him when he's not okay. Many men are raised with an unspoken rule: keep it together, don't burden others, handle your own stuff. It's not always healthy, but it's common, and it means that for a lot of men, emotional guardedness is the default setting, especially in the early stages of a relationship, when there's still a version of themselves they're trying to protect or present. So when a man starts letting you see him stressed, insecure, tired, or genuinely upset, not performing strength, not deflecting with a joke, but actually letting the mask slip, that's significant. It means he's decided, even if unconsciously, that you're safe. That your reaction to his bad day, his failure, or his low moment won't be used against him. That he doesn't have to manage your perception of him every second. This can look like small things, admitting he's anxious about work instead of brushing it off, telling you he had a rough conversation with a parent, or simply saying, "I'm not really okay today," instead of disappearing into silence. It can also look like him being open about past mistakes or insecurities he wouldn't have volunteered a few months earlier. The content matters less than the fact that he's choosing to share it with you specifically. Vulnerability is expensive. When someone spends it on you, it usually means they've started to trust you with the parts of themselves they protect from almost everyone else. If you notice this shift, resist the urge to immediately fix or analyze it. Often the most reassuring thing you can do is simply receive it well, stay calm, stay warm, and let him know that showing up as his real self, bad days included, doesn't change how you see him. That response, more than almost anything else, tends to deepen whatever is already forming. 5. He includes you in his world, not just his time. Dating someone and building a life with someone are two different experiences, and the shift between them is visible in how a man integrates you into the people and places that matter to him. Early on, a relationship can exist almost entirely in a bubble, dinners, dates, time alone together. But when a man starts falling in love, he tends to want that bubble to expand. He introduces you to friends. He mentions you to his family, sometimes before you even meet them. He invites you to things that aren't strictly date events, a friend's birthday, a work function, a Sunday at his parents' place. This matters because it reflects a kind of quiet accountability. Introducing you to the people who know him best is a small but real declaration: this person matters to me, and I want you to know that. It also means he's willing to let his separate worlds overlap, which is a natural and telling sign of long-term thinking. Men who aren't serious about where things are headed tend to keep relationships compartmentalized, enjoyable, but separate from the rest of their life. When that compartmentalization starts to dissolve, it's rarely accidental. Watch, too, for how he talks about you to those people, not just whether he includes you. Does he speak about you with warmth and specificity when introducing you, rather than vaguely? Does he seem proud, a little protective, invested in how the people he loves receive you? These details often say more than the introduction itself. Putting it all together. None of these 5 signs, future tense plans, deep curiosity, showing up in unglamorous moments, emotional openness, and integration into his world, are proof on their own. People are inconsistent, timelines vary, and some men move slower or faster than others based on past experiences, personality, or simply how they process emotion. But when you see several of these signs together, and especially when you see them holding steady over time rather than appearing in a single grand gesture, it usually means something real is happening beneath the surface. The words, "I love you," matter, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to hear them. But they're often the final marker of something that's already been true for a while, not the beginning of it. If you're seeing consistent effort, curiosity, vulnerability, and inclusion, trust that as real information. And if you're not sure, it's always fair to have an honest conversation about where things stand. Clarity, after all, is its own kind of love language, and a man who's genuinely falling for you will usually welcome the chance to talk about it rather than avoid it.